One, whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. How the heck are you? It is the Monty Show. Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. We are rocketing towards the fourth quarter of 2021. And teams are stupid and they spend money on guys that are always hurt. No, we're not talking about the Jazz.
Idiots.
Duh. We're talking about the Colts. We'll talk about Carson Wentz coming up. Yes, we'll talk Jazz. Yes, we'll talk NBA free agency. But right here now on this here very program, we must remind you we're giving away a Traeger smoker, bruh, an Ironwood, a Traeger Ironwood 650, and all the accoutrements, which means the bunch of the shit you get with it, to one of our lucky subscribers when we get to 2,500 subscribers right here on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, please do find our YouTube channel. Just go to themontyshow.com, MONTY, themontyshow.com. And that'll take you right to our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. And then all you have to do, and I will give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Many people yesterday tagged us both on TikTok and Instagram. Appreciate that. That's what you have to do. Take a picture that you're subscribed. Tag both The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. By the way, I'm up to 45 followers on TikTok.
Wow.
Where are you at? The Monty Show,
Wow.
MONTY. The Monty Show is where you find us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. Jake is SLC Supercars. Without further ado, let's talk NBA free agency. What a day. If you were a Laker fan, a Bulls fan, a fan of the Miami Heat, or the Utah Jazz, the question was being asked yesterday, was yesterday a good day for the Utah Jazz? Mike Conley's back, Jake. Everybody's excited. Oh, my God. The end of the world was avoided. We can now celebrate and begin planning the championship parade for next fall.
Right.
Probably don't want to do that because here's the toughest part, and I guess this is a question that has to be asked and answered about Mike Conley returning to the Jazz. Are they a better team because of this contract? No, they're not. And I know that that's probably a bit of a gut punch, and I get that. But 3 years, $24 million per. I mean, those are great numbers for the Utah Jazz. Mike Conley left $8 million on the table, depending on who you believe around the NBA, which is awesome. And, you know, sources were telling us yesterday that Conley never even talked to another team, turned down the Knicks and the Clippers, did not want to have those discussions with Dallas because he was firm that he wanted to return to the Utah Jazz. And he wants to prove that he can stay healthy, and that's all well and good. Here's the problem. Now what? You re-sign Mike Conley. Now what? You are still well over the salary cap. You still are going to pay the luxury tax. So now what? That's the biggest question. So, Jake, is this something that Jazz fans should be celebrating?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it kind of goes both ways. So on one hand, yes, it's great to have Mike back. You know, obviously you've got pretty much all of your core. As it sits today, you have your entire core back intact. But in terms of the cap and in terms of where you'll be the next couple of seasons, I think that's where things kind of get adventurous because now you're in a position where you really are committed to Mike and you're really committed to, you know, this team that you've had now. And I think that, you know, my question really is, you know, great, you got Mike Conley back, but what is going to be the difference maker, you know, to take you to the next level? Because this team, the way it's currently situated, this team didn't even get to the Western Conference Finals. You know, this team, you know, and you can blame it on injuries or blame it on whatever you want, but the fact is they didn't get there, you know, and you're still committed to a guy. I love, again, I want to be clear, I love what Mike Conley brings when he's on the floor. I think he's a great point guard, but the problem is just, for me, he's not on the floor enough. And so, you know, you bring this guy back, and my question to Jazz fans is going to be, are we going to have the conversation this coming season when they do make the postseason and Mike Conley's hurt that you're heartbroken that you got knocked out again? Because that's what we're talking about here. And I think that's the hard reality of the whole situation. Now, I had several people ask me yesterday, well, are the Jazz done? Are they just going to sit here? Is this the team that we're going to ride out with one more time?
Ooh.
And as it currently sits, yes, this is where you are. But I do think that they are going to look at moving Joe Ingles and trying to relieve some of the cap, pressure that they currently have. And I do think there's opportunity there. Yesterday all over Twitter, it was, the Jazz are trying to make a trade with the Cavs involving Joe Ingles, but I think there are several teams out there, and don't be surprised if he's gone before too long.
Yeah, and I think that bringing Mike Conley back was almost a no-brainer. I think that we've talked about this for a couple of months since the season ended for the Jazz. That they wanted Mike Conley. $24 million, $24.16 million is great. That's a good number for one of the top 5 point guards in the NBA. I'm telling you though that this is going to cost you. And the reason it's going to cost you is it will cost you a glue guy like Joe Ingles. Again, people around the NBA were telling us that they don't want to trade Bogey. They want to keep Bojan Bogdanovic, that Quinn Snyder likes the skill set, likes the fit. Bojan fits into their culture. Not to say that Joe Ingles does not fit into their culture. But the issue is that Joe Ingles, he's a guy that's replaceable, very, very replaceable. Mm-hmm. His skill set, where he is in his career, he is clearly on the backside of his career. Again, he looked like he was out of gas. He looks tired in the Olympics. It is pretty clear to those around this club that Joe Ingles and his $13 million, that's the deal that you can move to make a significant impact or upgrade to your roster. I think when you have a core that is Donovan, Rudy, Conley, and Bogey, you're going to win a lot of games. You're going to win most nights. You're not going to win a championship. What they did yesterday does not make this a championship team. Now, what does that mean for Elijah Hughes? I think it means that Elijah Hughes has to play a much more significant role on this team and in this club. I think he has to be a bigger part of the offense this year. I think you're going to have to play young guys. I think you're going to have to put guys in positions that they're, A, not ready to be in, and B, that you don't want to put them in, because that's where you are when you're paying the luxury tax, and you're not the Lakers, who are getting guy after guy after guy saying, hey, I'll take a discount, hey, sign me, I'll come there for less. When you see that kind of thing happening with the Lakers, that's not where the Jazz are, and that's not what the Jazz are going to get, and I think it makes it very difficult for them to build around this core, Jake, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to, A, repeat at the top of the West in the NBA, and B, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to compete for a championship.
Yeah, and there was this whole narrative yesterday about how because Mike Conley came back to the Jazz, that this really helped the Jazz reputation with free agents, and Mike Conley's helping turn Utah into a basketball destination, and I just don't necessarily agree with that. I think that Mike Conley came back because he's comfortable here. I think he came back because Salt Lake's a great place to live. I think he came back because he has a great role on this team, and he knows that if he plays and he stays healthy, that they're going to be in a better spot. And I can appreciate that. If I'm Mike Conley, I totally understand. You got a point to prove, bro. I get it. But at the same time, let's not joke around or try to tell ourselves some lie about the fact that the Lakers are a more attractive free agent destination than Utah is. That's just the facts of the case. So when I look at this roster, I think as a Jazz fan, you should be really happy about it. I think you should be, you should be pretty optimistic about what this team is going to be able to do. But I also think that has to come with the caveat of if they're healthy. I think as a Jazz fan, I don't really want to have, next season or this coming season rather, I don't want to have the discussion of, oh my God, we're so surprised that Mike Conley got hurt. Because that's not going to be a surprise, Oh my God, why are they only playing Mike 25 minutes last night against a crappy-ass team, whoever that is? Well, because they're load managing him. They're saving him. So I'm telling you, early in the year, Mike Conley is going to be rested a lot. I can almost guarantee that. So we'll see. Now, moving on from Mike, if they move Joe and they can turn one player into two players, that would be great. That would be awesome. If they could get that done, that gives you more bench, that gives you more leash, that gives you a lot of options.
Yeah, and I think you have to be of the mindset that you have to improve your wings. That's where your focus has to be right now, because again, if you bring back the Royce O'Neal, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic triumvirate, you're not better than you were last year. You got massively exposed in the postseason. I think we knew all season long, on this show anyways, we talked about their lack of athleticism that was an issue all season long. And I think that continues to be a story in this club because they haven't gotten more athletic. I mean, they are who they are. Now, playing a guy like Elijah Hughes, which I think is universally accepted that's going to happen, that's going to make you more athletic. But if you look at what this roster is right now, Jordan Clarkson is not a versatile player. He's kind of a one-trick pony, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Udoka Azubuike, I think, is a very much an unknown player in these conversations because you don't know what you're going to get from him. Backup center's a hole on this roster right now, and you're going to have to find that. And Tony Jones at The Athletic was reporting that they're interested in Pascal from Golden State. Well, let's see what that looks like. I mean, he's an interesting guy. Certainly, I know that he and Donovan Mitchell are very close friends. That's not a secret. I would be interested in that move. But I think you also have to bring in somebody that, for lack of a better word, has maybe that attitude of winning. That and coming from Golden State right now, I don't know that you're going to get that. I really don't know that you're going to get that because you've struggled with injuries the last couple of years. I look at the other guys that are cap holding you right now, like Juwan Morgan, Jarrell Brantley, Trent Forrest. Those guys are not going to impact this team this year. I just don't see how any of those guys make a huge impact or play big minutes on this team. Guys like Oni, sure, I can see that. He's a defensive guy. But Oni looks terrified to shoot the basketball most of the time, So you're going to have to go outside the circle. You're going to have to go out and get somebody that you believe can help you on the wings, Jake. And I think that's going to be difficult. You're going to be kind of bottom feeding off of who the free agents are.
Yeah, well, and I think being that this is the choice that they have, to re-sign, and bring back some of these younger guys that they had on the team last year, or to try to make deals to potentially bring in some athleticism on the wings. To me, this is why I wasn't a big fan of the Mike Conley deal and why I'm not a big fan of Rudy's deal and why I'm not a big fan of just the construction of the roster right now. I mean, again, this isn't, the current regime obviously is paying the price for some of these decisions, and I think they're doing a good job so far, but to me, I can just already see it. I can envision the issues that are going to plague this team most of the season, which is because you don't have a great backup center. Even if they go and get Pascal, you don't have a great backup center. There's nobody coming. It's not like you've got Rashawn Holmes coming off the bench or something. It's not like you've got that awesome backup guy coming in the game for 10 minutes at a time. So to me, I can already see a situation where Quinn's going to have to figure out what does this team look like without Rudy on the floor, because a lot of nights, I guarantee you, with what the Clippers did to them in the postseason, that will roll into next season. We will see that more regularly in the postseason. So my question straight up right now is, okay, so if teams are going to do to the Jazz on a nightly basis what the Clippers did, or they're going to try to do that, what is the answer? Where do you go to battle that or combat that or account for that? To me, the only answer is not having Rudy on the floor, which is not an option for you. So that's why I say, the trading Joe Ingles is almost a must at this point. You have to. You've got to move him and get wing athleticism, even if they're just average-ass players, even if they're not giving you even 15 a night. You have to have guys who can play some defense on this team. And that, to me, is what they should be prioritizing. With all due respect to Golden State and Pascal and what he brings, backup center is hardly the priority, in my opinion. I think you got to go and find guys that can play defense, because at least then you can play small with those guys when Rudy's not in the game. And that's the route that I would go.
Yeah, and I think the thing you also have to remember is, with the favors trade, you create a trade exception because you didn't take salary back in return, which creates that trade exception. I think it's $9.7 million. Mm-hmm. So you have some deals that you can make. And I think that's why there was some panic amongst Jazz fans yesterday when the Jazz were being very quiet. I think you're just waiting to see who's available. And I think that's going to take a few days. The Jazz, I think the Jazz could trade Joe Ingles right now to Cleveland, Detroit, or Golden State if they wanted to. Those three teams were very prominent yesterday in the people that we were talking to, and I just think that they could make that deal anytime they want.
Yeah.
I think that on top of your mid-levels, on top of your taxpayer, on top of your trade exceptions, I think you have some room to operate, and I think whether that's Pascal or somebody else, I think that's what you have to do. You just don't have a lot of room to operate. And if Rudy Gay truly is a guy that, has been tied to the Lakers and the Jazz, we've heard Rudy Gay's name linked to this team for a couple of weeks. If Rudy Gay truly is the guy you bring in, I'm okay with that. You're not going to be a championship caliber team with that. I think you need somebody, and I don't know who that is, frankly, because a lot of the big free agents came off the board yesterday. A lot of the affordable free agents came off the board. But I think you need somebody, and Alpha is probably a little strong, but you need somebody that doesn't mind breaking somebody off. You need somebody that has the ability to do that. I think that a guy like a Rudy Gay certainly brings you veteran presence, certainly brings you the ability that you're looking for. But when you talk about rounding out a roster, did anybody do that better than the Lakers did yesterday? I look at look at the Bulls. Look at the money they gave to Alex Caruso. That's a very dangerous deal for them. To give him 4 years, $9.2 million for a guy that's never gotten close to that. But you look at the Lakers with Ariza, Ellington, Dwight Howard, Kent Bazemore. Kent Bazemore was a very nice pickup. I look at Ellington, Ariza, and Bazemore. They all shoot the three. That's what that team needed. That's what that team got.
Yeah.
And I think, by the way, bringing back Dwight Howard really makes a difference for them. He was great 2 years ago. He clearly showed he can still stir the pot in Philly last year.
And he has that toughness that the Lakers lack.
Yeah, so I look at that. I look at what the Chicago Bulls did yesterday. You want to talk about winners in free agency yesterday? I look at the Chicago Bulls with Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. I look at the fact that they were able to cut Daniel Tice's weight. I really like what they did. I think certainly right now, I look at where the Chicago Bulls and the LA Lakers are. Those are two teams that absolutely got better yesterday. And so when we bring up those teams, I look at the Denver Nuggets, and this is to your conversation that we were having for the last month.
Yeah.
The Western Conference is getting better, not worse.
Getting better every day.
I look at what the Denver Nuggets did yesterday, and again, I just say to myself, Denver had a nice little day yesterday with Will Barton and JaMychal Green and Jeff Green, and I look at that they let JaVale McGee go, and again, I think a really nice pickup for the Phoenix Suns. I want to say JaVale McGee went to the Suns on a 1-year deal. That's a very nice pickup by the Phoenix Suns. I look at Denver though. I really like the Will Barton deal. It's $16 million a year for a premier point guard. That's a pretty good number.
Well, and think about the dynamic it creates too. I mean, last year, Jazz fans are sitting here saying, "Well, we beat Denver. What's the issue here? Why should we be worried about Denver?" Well, you should be worried about Denver because Jamal Murray's coming back, and ACL surgery is no longer the horrible thing that it used to be. Guys are coming back from that all the time and having great careers off of it. So, I would expect Jamal to be the same guy, maybe even a bit better than he was before the injury. So you take Jamal Murray, you pair him with Barton, add Michael Porter Jr. to that mix, and add the reigning MVP in Nikola Jokic, and I think you have a pretty good, starting core there, and then obviously your fifth is flexible. You're going to do different things with that depending on who you're playing. And then you start getting into the bench, and that's where I start having concerns, because this is where I think when we talk about these other Western Conference teams, the bench, the guys coming off the bench to play in that second unit role are really where the Jazz, I feel like, are going to struggle and are going to have to find a way to, not get just taken out of games.
Yeah, you're going to, for the second year in a row, the Utah Jazz are going to lack depth on their bench. They are. I also look at Phoenix. They got their two guards back. Cam Payne and Chris Paul both went back. Adding JaVale McGee, that's a championship player that is a smart, intelligent player that can mentor a guy like DeAndre Ayton.
And he can run.
And those are three really good moves for the Phoenix Suns. And, getting Cameron Payne back was not a sure bet. Cam Payne had other offers. It took less money to go back to Phoenix because he talked about the winning culture and the attitude. I'm telling you, that matters. And when you talk about that Mike Conley thing where everybody was talking about, Mike Conley means that other players want to. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because the Jazz haven't won. Last year's disappointment is a hangover now.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to prove that you're past that, and I don't see it this year.
Think about it. I mean, with the Suns, you can say, okay, we got to the finals and we lost. We lost to the Bucks. Like that's what happened. But we feel like our best is better than their best, and we didn't show that. And by the way, not that this is an excuse on any level, but I do think it's important in the conversation. They did come out yesterday that Chris Paul had, surgery, and now he's past whatever injury was plaguing him, So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I have a tough time, just like with Conley, I have a tough time believing Chris Paul is going to be 100% healthy, assuming that they do get back to the finals, which is far from a guarantee at this point, So to me, I just feel like the culturally thing, the culture thing with players coming to your team, the Suns are in a better spot because they went to the NBA Finals, and they did that because Chris Paul went there, which shines well on Book and everybody else, and the Jazz didn't. That's the struggle.
Yeah, I'm curious to see now what happens with the rest of free agency, because I think you have some real gems out there. I mean, Reggie Jackson's a guy we talk about all the time on this show. My argument would be he's probably the best available remaining free agent. Talon Horton-Tucker's not available.
No.
A lot of people have talked about him. A lot of people have talked about Josh Hart. A lot of people have talked about DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
I think DeMar DeRozan is looking for the perfect deal, and I think he's going to get that. Spencer Dinwiddie going to Washington. It's interesting the way that Washington has become now a destination.
Yeah.
And Bradley Beal, Bradley Beal's a guy where you can say, Brad Beal's a guy where you can say, hey, he stayed in Washington. Sorry. He stayed in Washington, and now guys want to go and play with him. Mm-hmm. I think they saw that run that they made to the playoffs last year, and I think that makes them attractive. But I think if I look at some of the names that are out there, Kawhi Leonard's not available.
No.
I mean, I think he's going back to the LA Clippers. I think everybody realizes that. I think when I look at John Collins is an interesting guy. Is John Collins really available?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But
I think
I'd still call.
He's restricted. I think he's going back to Atlanta.
I'd still call.
And I look at some other guys like that Jared Allen deal in Cleveland's insane,
bro.
I mean, that's.
You want to talk about a guy getting the bag, like a guy who out of nowhere gets $100 million,
dude,
bro. Like, wow, that's what the average ass NFL player's talking about. Hey, this random ass guy in the league got an NBA contract, and I can't even get. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me correct it. Some rando in the NFL, complaining about not getting paid. This is the kind of contract that perpetuates
$20 million on a center. That's a lot of money. All right, let's get some of your comments in here because I see a lot of you are in this morning. Brylark says, morning, guys. How about that Mike Conley deal? Jeremy Bolton says, Conley deal better than the Chris Paul deal? No, it's not. Listen, the Chris Paul deal is a lot of money, and he's going to be 74 years old when that contract expires. I get that. For the Phoenix Suns, they can now turn around and run back the team that went to the NBA Finals. Chris Paul had wrist surgery. Water's wet. Chris Paul was hurt during the playoffs.
You have a deal.
Yeah. So you're going to pay him that money because you have two superstars on that team, and you got a bunch of young dudes that you're going to sign. I mean, that deal makes perfect sense. Perfect sense if you're the Phoenix Suns. It shows that as an organization, you're committed to winning championships and playing for championships. And by the way, the other thing it does is it takes away a lot of the questions about leadership and Devin Booker, because I think it brings some Stability is stability the right word? I think it brings some stability
I think
to
it
that
brings
club.
consistency. I think consistency and stability are what the club needed, and I think that a lot of people, I'm sure in the comments, and I can't see him. This is just purely a guess, but I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, if Chris Paul's deal is such a great deal, Mike Conley's deal has to be even better because they got him for less. But here's the thing: yes, they did get him for less. The problem is that this team is unproven. This team did not go to the NBA Finals. Hell, this team didn't even sniff the Western Conference Finals. So my point is that with the Chris Paul deal, that deal had to get done,
Yes.
and they had to pay him because you're not going to allow your NBA Finals worthy team to just kind of walk away, especially, again, I know I keep saying this, but especially in an offseason where the Western Conference is going to come back with a vengeance. I with all due respect to the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference is going to be better this year.
But the thing that stands out to me, the one of the teams that lost yesterday, the Dallas Mavericks are in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't think other free agents around the league want to play with Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
The Mavericks were unable to unload Porzingis, and they pretty much swung and missed at everybody they went after. From Bobby Portis, you name the guy they targeted, Kyle Lowry, Mike Conley.
Yeah.
They didn't get a single one of their premier free agents that they targeted. They brought back Tim Hardaway Jr. on a $72 million deal. But I think one of the things that's been so interesting in the Olympics is Luka Doncic screaming at officials during the Olympics. Like nothing has changed. This guy is, in my opinion, if there's an overrated superstar in the NBA, it's Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
He is not a guy that I think is attractive to other NBA free agents. And I think Dallas had a very bad day yesterday.
No doubt.
And I don't know. And listen, maybe this is just me. I don't know. But I struggle with a lot of the deals that were done yesterday. I thought were actually well thought out, pragmatic deals. Right? If you look at if you want to look at the biggest deals, from Chris Paul, Jared Allen obviously was questionable. But if you go on down to Semi Ojeleye, to Milwaukee, or Wayne Ellington to the Lakers for $2.6 million. Wayne Ellington, a 42% 3-point shooter, went to the Lakers for $2.6 million.
Yeah,
there were a lot of really good deals done, right? A lot of really good deals. Yeah, so it's a little surprising to me that Dallas really couldn't get anybody.
Yeah, because I don't think that other free agents who are notable respect Luka. I think everybody knows. Here's the thing: when these guys are all playing against Luka all season long, whoever it is, they whether it's one game or they have a lot of experience. You know who guys are when you're playing against them, and it tells you what it would be like to play with them. And I think that. Whether it is the complaining to the officials thing, everybody does that. So let's just throw that out just for the sake of conversation. Let's just throw that out. When you look at his on the bench antics, I really think that's what hurts him. The crying on the bench after games,
throwing water bottles.
Like throwing a tantrum, like all that childish stuff that he does. I can't believe we have to say this, but for a guy who's capable of giving you 40 or maybe even 50 in a postseason game that has your season on the line, this guy has maturing to do, and that's why I think that the Porzingis thing is an issue. That's why I think that nobody wants to go there, and frankly, that's why I think they didn't have a chance at Kyle Lowry or any of these other guys because Kyle wanted to go to Miami. Mike, clearly, as it's been reported now and described, never talked to anybody else, wanted to go to Utah. And all these other second-tier guys want to go to the Lakers or want to go to an already dominant team. So if you're Dallas, you're sitting here like, man, like we love Luka, but this is not ideal at all. I mean, we have issues here. Yeah,
Kent says, so you're saying Bullocks isn't worth anything? Well, I'm not saying that he's not worth anything, but is Reggie Bullock a guy that you're like, oh my God?
Why are we talking about Reggie Bullock?
Because he signed with the Mavericks. Like that's why we're talking about Reggie Bullock.
I mean, he's not.
He's a $5 million player, man.
I'm talking about impactful players. I'm talking about guys that will make a difference. I'm talking about Kyle Lowry, CP3, Mike Conley. I'm talking about all these guys. I'm talking about DeMar DeRozan. These guys that are rumored about Lonzo Ball, all these guys that are great players in the NBA that are productive, that can make a
Norman
tangible
Powell.
difference. Yeah, Norman Powell, exactly. He got paid,
Yeah.
Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought Dallas was, in talking to people yesterday, it was shocking how poorly Dallas did.
Well, and they're right in that same boat, too. I mean, think about it. Think about the way their playoffs went. They lost to the Clippers early. They didn't have a deep postseason run.
James Knight says Jingles won't go anywhere. Utah got exposed in the postseason because of injuries, much like the Lakers, much like Brooklyn. Well, I mean, sure, but the guys who were on the floor couldn't defend. And when they were healthy, the guys on the floor couldn't defend. I mean, one of the things that was so shocking about this Jazz team last year, and obviously we saw it in the playoffs, even against Memphis in the playoffs, I think we saw it. They struggled to defend. And Don was healthy for the most part. He was as healthy as he was going to be in the Memphis series, and they couldn't defend.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget the points in the paint stats. I mean, they're one of the worst teams at defending the paint, even though they have the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, and I think that was a story all season long. So, I mean, I know you're a huge Ingles guy, but, I mean, Joe Ingles isn't going to be on this team. I'd be really surprised if we broke training camp and Joe Ingles was still a Jazz man. My guess is he winds up Cleveland, Detroit, or Golden State would be the teams that I would think.
I think it's Cleveland or Golden State. I mean, Detroit's cool and everything, but like Cleveland has more to offer, and I think that the Jazz, they're either trying to add wing talent or they're trying to add a backup center. It's one of those
but you're not going to trade for another body, in my opinion. What you're going to do is you're trying to unload Joe Ingles' $13 million salary to a team that is building. And that's why, because let's not forget, he's an expiring contract, Joe Ingles is. So I think what you're going to see is that teams who are close are going to take on a guy like Joe Ingles because that's going to give them cap space. And I think teams like Cleveland, Detroit, I think it's one of the reasons that Golden State's interested, although you'd have to take a body back in that deal because they're a luxury taxpayer. But, I just think the bottom line is I think Joe Ingles is not going to be here. Because Quinn Snyder, if we're looking at, dollars to donuts here, you can do things with Bojan Bogdanovic. He's a guy who, while he's not a real good lateral defender, he doesn't defend laterally at all. If you don't ask him to do that and if he just drops, you can do things with him defensively. I think that offensively, there's no question that Bojan Bogdanovic is a central figure to what they did offensively last year, whether that was shooting the three or it was really nice to see him get back to playing below the free throw line, running the break. I thought, Bogey trying to dunk on guys always didn't end well, but the effort was nice.
Yeah.
You don't have any of that with Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is one thing. He is a catch and shoot 3-point guy. That's what he is. He's not a great defender anymore. He's not your best defender anymore. I think that's the reality
He's not in
of
Paul
Joe
George's
Ingles.
head anymore.
No, yeah, right. Remember that. Brylark says Utah got exposed because of their lack of athleticism. Joe being the prime problem, as well as Bogey, Rudy, and at times Royce. Yeah, I think Royce O'Neal's another guy that you could leverage.
He's the biggest. Like, oh my God, this guy's a great defender, but he's actually not a great defender. He's the prime example of that. So I don't know that they're bringing him back either.
I think Jeremy Bolton's bitter.
I'm sure he is, and I don't blame the guy. But at the end of the day, it's not just us saying this about Jingles, man. I mean, if you go around and read, a lot of people are talking about the fact that it's time.
Bolton says, man, loving the positivity for the Jazz. They should just trade everyone because they aren't going anywhere. They're a trash team.
This is what happens.
The Lakers are going to win, and of course the Jazz are better by signing Conley. He's healthy right now. That's better than last year.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It's frustrating. Again, we always get, and for those of you who listen every day, we'll always get, occasionally the guy who's like, why do you guys hate the Jazz? And we don't hate the Jazz, And I'm not saying Jeremy's saying that, but I just understand that it's frustrating to have these conversations and feel like, man, like, what do we need to do to be a championship caliber team? And that's why I think right now that's not the conversation you're having.
Not at all.
That's just not where you are. I think you're far away from that.
I don't know how you fix this.
Once they move on from Rudy, then you can start having a conversation.
But I think you just got to come to the rationale that that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, then you're not going to be a championship caliber team. I'm sorry. Like, you can't have look at the team that won the NBA championship this year, or the two teams that went to the finals. Both of them, whatever you want to call Giannis, everybody refers to him as a big. Whether you want to call him like an athletic big or whatever, he plays big. He does. He plays in the paint. And when you can get that kind of production in the paint, it opens up a lot of options for you. And the Jazz don't have that luxury. They're playing outside to in. Whereas everybody else in the league is playing inside out. And that's the problem. And that's why I say they're going to get to the postseason. They're going to be in these series, but ultimately they're going to come up short because you can't rely on the three ball the entire year and in the postseason expect to win.
Well, and again, I'll just say everybody around the Jazz got better.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously there's some guys out there, whether that's Carmelo Anthony or whoever, that are question marks. But, I mean, if you look at the Lakers, they got better. If you look at the Suns, they got better. If you look at the Clippers, they're going to get better. I mean, bringing Batum back was a significant move for them. Mm-hmm. But you're all in on Kawhi Leonard at this point. I mean, the teams that Denver Nuggets got better. You look at the teams that you have to really compete with, and they all got better. They did the job yesterday. And the Jazz are kind of sitting here handcuffed, and I understand why that would be frustrating. Brylark says it's not that the Jazz are bad, it's that when you look at the competition, the Jazz just don't stand a chance because of how this roster is constructed. You're unwinding the Dennis Lindsey watch at this point.
Yeah, and that takes time.
It takes 2 years.
Yeah.
And this look, I love the deal they did with Conley. It's an expensive deal, and I'm not even talking about this coming year. Next year and the year after, what is his production going to be like as he's 35, 36 years old? I don't know what that looks like. Casey Finlinson, everybody that will be competing with the Jazz got better yesterday. Does that mean the Jazz aren't good? No, but in my opinion, they aren't a championship club yet, correct?
Yeah, that's a great way to say it.
Ryan Buckley says, Jazz aren't contenders with what other teams have done. Jeremy Bolton says, I can't believe the Chris Paul deal. Geezo, talk about handicapping your team in 2 years. But
yeah, well, you went to the NBA Finals, though, and that's the difference.
They're not in it for 2 years down the road.
Yeah,
they're in it to try and win a championship right now.
And let's dig into this just for a second. I know we talked about it before, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page with why the Chris Paul deal is better than the Mike Conley deal, okay? Now, on the surface, everyone's going to say, well, the Jazz got a steal. They got a deal. They signed for below market value, and that's great.
Yep.
The problem is the risk that comes with Mike Conley makes it not as valuable of a deal to the club. When you look at what Chris Paul brings, yes, he played injured. Yes, he did. But he fought through the shoulder thing. He fought through the wrist thing. Now, did it cost him a championship? Yeah, it probably did because he just didn't show up. But at the end of the day, you got to the NBA Finals. Devin Booker had a chance to have his moment, and he came up short. That's just what happens in the league.
Yep.
So when you re-sign Chris Paul and we talk about cap implications and we apply the same logic to the Suns as we do to the Jazz, yeah, their cap is going to be jacked in 2 or 3 seasons, but they don't care about that. They're going to live with that. They're here for right now to win a championship because they believe that they can get that done. I'm here to tell you that it's unlikely that they get back to the NBA Finals because I do think that the Lakers are going to be built differently this year. They're going to be built. They're going to be a stronger team. They're going to be a deeper team. And I think that's going to, really propel them and take them places. But at the end of the day, the Chris Paul deal is better because the Suns actually did win the Western Conference. They actually did go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And they can say, okay, if we bring this core back, we could potentially get back to the NBA Finals and have a look at winning again. And that's why that Chris Paul deal is better than Conley's deal.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I find so fascinating is just that you have to find a way to compete every year to get better. And that the mediocre teams don't do that. I look at what Golden State's gone through. Golden State's had significant injuries, but they've been on the cusp. They've been right here. They weren't supposed to be a playoff team last year. They weren't supposed to do what they did to the Lakers last year. They weren't, you just weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's pretty remarkable. And, I look at some of the trends in this league right now. The trend of overpaying guys for the fact of overpaying guys is pretty rare these days. Jared Allen aside, is pretty rare these days. You know, I think one of the things that I personally am surprised by, you know, I'm surprised that we have not seen more trades. I'm surprised that we have not seen more big names being traded to create more cap space. I'm surprised that, you know, that we, and maybe it's because we have super teams and duos and trios, and
yeah,
that absolutely could be why that's
the
happening.
setup is different now. You know, it used to be that you know you had these blockbuster deals because you didn't have, you know, you had the blockbuster deals because we weren't in a time where you already had the duos and the trios together. You know, this year a lot of the deals that are taking place are the second tier player, because all the duos and trios are together. You've already got LeBron and AD. You've already got the boys in Brooklyn. You know, if you look at the Knicks, you know, they're being more aggressive because they don't have their trio or duo yet. You know, so that's why you're seeing them make so many moves. But I just think overall, like you look at the Kyle Lowry thing.
Yeah,
you know, like Kyle Lowry and the Heat clearly had the sign and trade deal all worked out for him, and all that was already lined out before free agency, you know, air quotes, officially opens. So I just think that we're kind of in a different time now, and I think that, and we've discussed this before, with the way caps are handled now, it's typically 2 or 3 players at the top making anywhere between 20 to 25% of your cap each, and then the rest of the cap is for, you know, for the second tier players to split and kind of share. And that's kind of where things are at. Look at the Jazz cap. That's where they're at. Now they're paying 3 guys over $20 million a year. I mean, that's a lot of money, and that puts you in a very precarious situation. So I just think that these blockbuster deals are not happening anymore, because that's just not, for whatever reason, you know, that's the league has shifted away from that. So I still think this is one of the best deadlines we've had in a minute.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know, by the way, I also think that the league is maturing, changing. Front offices, you know, with all the turnover we've seen the younger front offices, I think you're seeing the Chicago Bulls yesterday. I'm actually excited. You know, Lauri Markkanen's one of the guys that's on the market, by the way. Somebody's going to pick up Lauri Markkanen. That deal's going to get done. The Chicago Bulls yesterday, the Lonzo Ball deal tells you that they're serious.
Yeah.
Like, it tells you, you know, hey, Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball completely remake that roster. And you hear Zach LaVine saying, "Hey, I want an extension in Chicago." Like, the Bulls with a new general manager, a new front office, a new way of doing business. It's not John Paxson anymore and Gar Hurd, and I mean you're seeing that younger front offices that, you know, are a little more fluid and a little more pragmatic with their money and their principles. Those are the teams that are doing well. And I think the Lakers and the Nets, you know, and the Clippers, those teams are always going to have talent because they don't care about how much money they have to spend to get it.
Yeah.
So, by the way, your boy Kevin Durant rescued the U.S. this morning.
I know.
Really?
Notice. What are we not hearing right now? Oh my God, Team USA. What happened to us? The world is burning down. We're not hearing that anymore, are we? No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Games.
No, we're not. And you look at you know the way these guys played.
With all due respect to Ricky Rubio and his 38 points, you can go home now.
Man, the Gasol story was nice. Pau Gasol. Marc Gasol confirmed he's not retiring. He's going back to the Lakers. Kevin Durant had 29 this morning. Dame had 11. Holiday had 12. Book had 9. Adebayo had 5. Bam!
Well, I'm glad the rest of the team showed up today. You know, that's really great.
But one of the things I think is interesting is that the way that they've changed the way this Team USA is playing. Jason Tatum is coming off the bench. Zach LaVine's coming off the bench. You get, 29 points off your bench, and you win 95-81. That's what the difference is.
Yeah.
Because who's stopping Kevin Durant?
Nobody.
In
the world, nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And when you start to see how these guys are playing.
Oh, wait, I know who's stopping Kevin Durant, the three-point line. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. We forgot to mention him.
Bro, you are you're never getting over that, are you? Kevin Durant left a toe on the line and they got eliminated.
Douche.
Your mom.
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
Yeah. I'm Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Yeah.
Greatest drop ever. Do we know?
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Exactly. Do we know if there are any trade clauses on the Conley deal? Well, he's a vet, so he has a no trade. Alexander Duque. Good evening. Conley's contract for me is not worth it. Not concerned about his talent, but him staying healthy. Missed 26 games this season, 27 games last season. He's not getting any younger. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Brandon Whiteside says Suns way overpaid for Paul, but did they really? Did they really? Suns did not overpay for Chris Paul.
I think they paid the market rate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and by the way, again, and this is what fans and I think Dennis Lindsay, other general managers struggle with. You got to know who you are, you got to know where you are, and you got to know where you want to be.
Yep.
And the Suns know who they are. They're a team that just played for an NBA championship and lost. They know where they are, which is they're really good, and they're one of the best teams in the NBA. But they're not the best team in the NBA, and so they know where they want to go, which is they want to be the best team in the NBA, and you can't do that without Chris Paul. And for the next 2 seasons, Chris Paul is still going to be at the top of whatever his game is left, and Devin Booker is under contract. Those 2 guys are going to take you most of the way that you're going to go.
Yeah.
And you're going to hope that DeAndre Ayton somehow becomes something other than a soft player. Who learns to catch the ball eventually. How about PJ Tucker leaving Milwaukee to go to Miami?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, crazy. Miami's going to be very
now he
good.
can take risks because he's won.
Yeah. Giggity says, seems like the Jazz are content with another season similar to last. Yeah. Well, I don't think they have a choice. I think, again, Dennis Lindsay's a beloved figure in the Jazz community, you prick.
Whoever came up with that shit need to be fired.
He's not. He's not. Dennis Lindsay dug you a hole for 10 years. And every year you just kept giving him a new shovel.
Yeah.
Just kept digging and digging and digging. And now you're trying to fill that hole back up. And it's going to take a year to do that.
It's not the best situation, and we all know that.
No, I mean, and so Mike Conley giving you a hometown discount, yeah, I'm good with that.
Yep.
I'm good with that. It's going to cost you guys like Joe Ingles. It's going to cost you. Royce O'Neal is one of those guys I think everybody overvalues.
Yes.
Royce O'Neal doesn't cost you anything. The guy, what does he make? $8 million?
You're paying the guy $8 million to get blown by and miss threes. I mean,
just
that's
make
what it
sure
is,
that you get brand new, freshly laundered towels in return for Royce O'Neal. Okay, I'm a dick. I agree with that 100%. Casey Finland says, I think Conley reported a sprained finger and hand cramping during the contract signing. He'll be out for the beginning of the season.
Damn.
Yeah. That stuff happens, Case. Monty and Jake will crucify me for saying this, Jeremy Bolton says. The only reason the Suns made it to the finals is because they're fortunate enough to stay healthy when literally... Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So wait, now staying healthy is a penalty. And this is what I say about the Bucks.
This is such an easy thing to talk around, dude.
Oh, well, the Bucks, they're not the best team in the NBA, but they only got there because everybody else was not healthy. Well, by all accounts, and last time I checked, they won the championship. They won the NBA championship. Giannis Antetokounmpo is an NBA champion, an NBA Finals MVP.
By the way,
Kevin Durant is not.
By the way, I'd just like to point out, Giannis Antetokounmpo played through a horrendous, hyperextension of his knee, right? And we're sitting here talking about how teams are lucky to be healthy. No, teams are not lucky to be healthy. What you should be saying is you're pissed that the Jazz can't figure out how to keep guys healthy. That's what you should be saying. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh well, boo-hoo, let's spilled milk because the Jazz got eliminated because Mike was out and Dom was playing on one leg. Well, sorry, but that's just the reality of the situation. The Clippers, I got news for you, Mr. Hey, playing hurt guy. The Clippers were injured and still beat that ass. So I don't know I don't know where you're coming from on this. Really, I
they
think
lost their best player and
still beat you. Vivint, let's not forget, you lost at home to a team that didn't have their best player.
And look, we understand you had Matt Thomas, but, somehow you still lost. Okay, I'll stop. Red Heart Norvis says, If Mike Conley has a healthy season, I can just stop right there.
Can we get a huge red Sharpie out and like circle that like 50 times and like triple underline it and like asterisk it?
If Mike Conley has a healthy season, that would be a first. I know he's going to get hurt. All I'm hoping for is he doesn't get hurt sidelined for a long time. That's all you can do. James Knight says, was there anything on the Jazz roster you guys liked? No.
You gotta fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
That's hysterical. Adam Turner says, could a trade of Bojan Bogdanovic for Harrison Barnes work? But Harrison Barnes isn't going to give you the gritty. He isn't going to give you the, for better or for worse, Bojan Bogdanovic fits the culture in the Jazz locker room, and he's a perfect fit for what the Jazz do offensively. He's
Bojan.
Bog Smatchovich is
Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, I mean, your mom Snatchovich is not a great fit defensively.
You're welcome.
Yeah, he's not a great fit for anybody. I don't think Harrison Barnes is a move you would make. I mean,
No.
I don't.
He's
anyway.
getting paid.
Jingles would have to take a major pay cut to stay, and there's no such thing as taking a pay cut.
Well, unless you're Mike Conley.
He's under contract. I think you guys are underestimating the relationship Jingles has with Don, James Knight says. That means nothing.
They have a great relationship, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of
Means
what the front
nothing.
office is going to do. I mean,
Has to do
Yeah.
what the front office has to do.
Here's what's going to happen, Tonto.
So let me get this right. So Donovan and Royce O'Neal don't have a great relationship?
No.
They do. Bojan Bogdanovic? No, I mean, him and Don don't like each other. Yeah, they do. Like, do you think, this team is very tight-knit. It's not fun to see any of them go away. Do you think anybody was happy to see Derek Favors get traded away? No. But do you think anybody in that locker room thinks that Joe Ingles is a vital contributor and, he's a guy that we got to keep? No. Donovan Mitchell wants to win a championship. He'll be friends with Joe Ingles when he's a Cavalier or a Warrior. I mean,
I don't give a baker's fuck.
with all due respect. Seth Starr, good morning to you. I have seen some things about Jazz potentially getting Pascal from the Warriors. Well, that was Tony Jones. And I think he would be a good fit. Ricky Martinez, guys, I'm back. I was mourning the Jazz playoff run. Sorry. So have you removed the black veil and now you are again?
I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today.
Yeah. Well, at this time of year, everybody's a virgin, right? Brylark
That's
says,
quite enough
Well,
to get
you're a
it.
virgin because you haven't had sex.
right,
yet,
yeah.
but that's
And I'm a
different
flats guy, so it doesn't help the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a drums guy. You're a flats guy. It is what it is. You're single. We know why.
Yeah.
Brylark says you have to upgrade at Royce for sure, without question. Jordan McDonald says Lakers will disappoint next year. Team is old as hell.
We'll
Are,
see.
are they old as hell? Are they old as hell? You want to rethink that, because what I would tell you is that they're not old as hell. I look at who they're asking God to do things, and so I just say, okay, well, Dwight Howard, well, he's old, but he's not a leverage guy. Is Dwight Howard a guy you're like, hey, man, you got to play 40 minutes a night, and we got to get 35?
No, come in the game, kick somebody's ass, leave the game.
Get in a
That's
fight,
it.
get somebody a technical, get me 5 boards, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Is Kent Bazemore old as hell? No, Kent Bazemore had like 5-6 offers. He chose the Lakers for $2.4 million.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
$2.4 million.
Just chilling on a $2 million
almighty.
contract. No problem.
Is Wayne Ellington old for $2.6 million? The guy shot 42% last year. What do you mean he's old?
Yeah.
Right? I look at Alex Caruso. Would you have wanted to pay Alex Caruso $37 million?
No.
No, he went to the Bulls. See you later. Peace out, motherfucker.
Wow. Wow.
But, I mean, if you look at their guys, like is Talon Horton Tucker old? Oh, they're old as hell. No. Right? You look at, is Anthony Davis old? No.
After the street clothes Davis.
He's not old. Is LeBron old? Yes, he's old. Yes, he is. They're not going to ask him to be a point guard. He's going to play power forward. I don't think they're old as hell. I really don't. Now, are they young? No. But I think they're age appropriate. They're PG-13 and stuff. James Knight says USA versus Australia in the semis. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, is Ingles and Kevin Durant's head too, or what are we talking about here? I mean, what
Right.
are we looking at?
right? Oh, Joe Ingles, he's going to lock down Kevin Durant.
Twitter's been going crazy.
Nobody locks down Kevin Durant. Brandon Whitesides, you're talking out of both sides. Conley is going downhill, but Paul is worth $100 million. Suns are in trouble.
Suns are not in trouble, dude. Like,
Brandon,
what do you mean?
Listen, I understand you struggle to understand the NBA.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Okay, so let me get this right. Chris Paul, who has routinely, year in and year out, played for the Western Conference Finals, finally won them, went to the NBA Finals. He's not worth money, significant money. He is arguably the best point guard in the NBA right now. Him and Steph. I think most people would put, like, who are the best point guards right now? If you put
we don't need to
Steph,
play the comparison game. I mean,
Chris Paul, like, he's one of the best point guards in the NBA.
He's a great fit.
He got paid on scale, right? I mean, if Kyle Lowry and him got the same money, basically, you just went to the NBA Finals. He completely changed your culture. You think they should have paid him less or let him go? Because I got news for you. If they just said, nah, we're not going to pay you $30 million. Okay, cool. Peace out, bro. And then what happens? Well, you're not going back to the Western Conference Finals. You're probably going to lose Devin Booker. You probably don't get campaign back. You're probably not signing JaVale McGee.
No, the whole team changes. You're not a playoff team anymore.
I mean, you have to understand who you are and where you are. And they're a team that for the last 10 years has sucked ass. And now they went to the NBA Finals, and you had to prove it wasn't a fluke. So you're bringing that core back intact, and you're adding some nice additional pieces to address the fact that your backup center last year was not very Frank Kaminsky good, right? I mean, they lost Torrey Craig. That's not a great loss for them. He was a really important player for them. But I'm telling you, they're going to be one of the top 3 teams in the West again this year.
SuckMyAss.com.
I think Lakers, Clippers, Denver are the best 3 teams in the NBA in the Western Conference right now. I think Phoenix is going to be right there. I don't know what Denver's going to look like. But Will Barton's finally going to be healthy, and Jamal Murray's going to be back. So the load on Barton and on Murray is going to be less. I look at Phoenix. They're going to be an incredibly athletic team that defends really well. And their shot makers are going to be a year older. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, how are they? Suns are in trouble.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. They're not. Patry and stuff. Will the fuck are you? Will the Lakers and Nets? Will the Lakers and Nets play next regular season, or are they going to direct conference semifinals? Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. James Knight says, at least be objective. It's got to point you guys say nothing positive about the Jazz.
That's
it's
not
just
true.
old now.
It's not true.
Okay, so we haven't said that the Mike Conley signing was a good signing.
We haven't said that Elijah Hughes working with Chris Brickley is a really good thing. We haven't said that keeping Bogey is a really good choice rather than trading him when you could have traded him. We haven't said all of that?
What's the positive? And this is what James Knight, here's where you always struggle. You guys are assholes. You never say anything positive. You hate Australia, and Joe Ingles is 13.
Because I'll drop that motherfucker.
Okay, so what positive am I leaving out on the Jazz?
What are the positives? Let's ask that question first. What are the positives?
Okay, so let's talk positively about the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, what's the positives?
They have really nice uniforms. Okay, no, seriously. You are making some pragmatic moves to set yourself up to be more fiscally sound. You are doing some things that I think frees up some cap space. Derek Favors, you were not going to pay that guy $20 million. That was a good trade. You drafted really well. Did we not celebrate the draft pick? I think we did.
Yeah, I think we said they had a great draft night.
I think we said they crushed the draft. Look, you want us to sit here and, blow sunshine and roses at you. That's not this show.
Go read the Tribune, dude.
Yeah, exactly right. Go read the Tribune. If that's what you want, follow the local guys that cover the Jazz outside of Tony Jones, and all of them will say how great the Jazz are, and this is amazing, and wow, we can't wait for the season, and this is going to be a championship contending team. And then when you're ready for the truth, come on back.
You're so fucked.
Come on back. Come on back. James Knight says just 2 opinions of 2 guys sitting behind a microphone. Well, but you're still here. Look, man, if you and I say this every day.
By the way,
if you're unhappy with the show, don't watch.
By the way, just want to point this out. All this is public knowledge on our channel. Go find it. When was the last time we were way wrong on anything we've said about the Utah Jazz? We told you guys, 4 months before the postseason got here that this team wasn't going to win the Western Conference Finals?
No, Jake, we told them that, and everybody said we were negative and wrong.
And then what happened?
And by the way, what have we been wrong about? So we told you who the Jazz were going to draft. We told you they were trading Derek Favors. We yesterday were first to report that, hey, Mike Conley turned down other teams, didn't even talk to other teams, wanted to be here, took far less money because he wanted to prove that he could stay healthy, and this team has more to prove. Okay, cool. All right.
Great.
Well, we have been ahead of the curve on everything. And tell me where we've been wrong on the Jazz. No, really, go ahead. We'll wait. You can't point it out where we've been wrong on the Jazz. We warned you when everybody was ripping us for the Rudy Gobert contract. Now everybody agrees with us. This contract is an anvil around your neck.
It is a chain pulling you down and making it so you cannot go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
Seth
it is.
Starr makes exactly the right point. Problem is the Jazz are always good but never great. Correct.
Exactly.
James Knight says, yeah, I know it's the I told you so show, but tell us how we're wrong. So, James, again, instead of just lobbing insults, tell us how we were wrong and tell us what we should be saying. Tell me what we should be saying. This is not the Say Nice Things show. This is the Tell the Truth show.
Always has been, always will be.
This show is, we've always said it, this is the truth in sports radio.
We told you, with all due respect, and I'm not trying to poke you here, but with all due respect, you want to talk about something that we told you so on? We told you Paul George was going to torch Joe Ingles. We told you that Paul George was going to torch this defense. And what
Jake,
happened?
Why are you being so negative?
I'm just telling you, there's a difference between negativity and truth-telling. It's not negativity if it's right. That's the thing. And we're not here. You notice we only talk about how right we are when people come into the comments and say, well, you guys just hate the Jazz or you're Mr. Negative. Well, it's not negativity if we're right all the time. That's the thing. We're not telling you what we think. We're telling you what it looks like based on what they are doing. And that's why we told you they were going to go ahead and get Jared Butler. That's why we told you they were going to trade down in the draft and trade Derek Favors. This guy on Twitter is telling you that days before it happens. I mean, it's not in question, man. And that's why I say, listen, man, I get it. At the end of the day, we're not here to have some pissing match about whether you like the show or not, to be honest with you. We do this show because it's fun, and we like talking about the Utah Jazz in short order. We like talking the National Football League and college football and all these other things that are coming. So respectfully, man, I love that you're here and I love your contribution. But as I say to everybody else, whether it's Driftwood or Growcock or anybody else who comes in here with oh my God, you guys are so negative. You guys just hate the Jazz. I'm not going to take that. That's not acceptable. You're going to have to point out what exactly we've said that's wrong. You're going to have to point out where we've been afoot. And tell us, what to fix, because I don't think we've been pretty far off on anything. I think we've been nails.
Yeah, I agree. Kelsey Hunter, Hamer, Kelsey
Hello.
Hamer, same thing. At least France can defend with Rudy Gobert, LOL. Stop being negative, Hamer, not
damn
Hammer.
It.
We don't accept that on this show.
You listen to me. Rudy Gobert is a better scorer in the Olympics than Kevin Durant, and we all know that. We've seen that.
Yeah, I agree. My question is, by the way, speaking of Team Australia, I told you so. What about Dante Exum's NBA future? He's still a free agent. He's still a free agent, and he's actually played pretty well in this tournament.
He's an international player, man.
I think he is. I would agree with that. Patty Mills, on the other hand, I think is going to get paid.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see where he ends up. He'll get paid. Chase, I love the unbiased perspective. Thanks for daring to raise legitimate concerns. You're welcome. We do what we can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
James Knight says opinions are never wrong. Well, actually, that's not true.
Opinions are typically right when they're backed up by fact, which we're seeing play out.
Yeah, opinions, if we were just sitting here and we had no experience, didn't know the NBA, hadn't covered the game for 25 years, didn't have sources around the league, Okay, then it's just our opinion. We don't generally report opinion. We report fact. So, and I think our track record backs up the fact that our sources are pretty good. I mean, we routinely get things way ahead of time. So it is what it is. By the way, the clear winner yesterday in NBA free agency was...
I think it's the Suns, but you're going to say the Bulls. I think it's the Suns because it's Chris Paul. I think it's the Suns because if they didn't re-sign him, that organization's going down the crapper real quick. And they got him back, and now everything's fine. So to me, that's why they're the winner. But you know, I don't know. I think this. Do you want to talk about opinions? This conversation is an opinion-based conversation.
Yes.
Because I think that, you know, it really depends on how you define winning in free agency. I mean, is winning in free agency, you know, like that's going to be different for the Suns than it is for the Orlando Magic or the Chicago Bulls. Like the Chicago Bulls had a wonderful day. You know, you totally change your organization around. You've got some serious talent in that locker room now. You're still a couple players away from being super relevant in the postseason, but at least now you can be competitive, you know. But to me, who won free agency in the big picture, who had the most impactful day yesterday, I still think it's the Suns, just because if they hadn't re-signed Chris Paul, this would have burned to the ground. And I'm talking about in a matter of hours. I'm talking about see you later campaign. I'm talking about see you later, you know, to all these other guys that they have. Because if you don't have Chris Paul, you're not going anywhere.
I think one of the teams that could be considered the winner, depending on how free agency finishes, the New York Knicks could be. I mean,
what do you like about what they're doing right now?
They didn't lose any of their real important guys. Like Nerlens Noel was in demand around the league. They kept him. Alec Burks had 2 other offers. They kept him. The Knicks are doing a really nice job of becoming a place where guys like to play basketball again. And I think if you look at the guys that they have, whether that's Randall, Barrett, Knox, Obi Toppin is an interesting guy. If you look at that roster, the Quickleys, what they did last year was really good. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean anything if Derrick Rose isn't a Knick. Like, he was a really important part. Alec Burks played a huge role in bench scoring for that team last year. Mm-hmm. And I think you really needed to do that. And then you add Fournier to that whole mix. Now, $19 million for Evan Fournier feels like a lot. But Fournier, Burks, Nerlens Noel, and Derrick Rose being back, I mean, that's huge.
It's a big deal
for the Knicks. And
plus
you know what?
Julius.
Yeah, Julius Randle. I also think that Kevin Durant looking so fresh and on the hop in the Olympics, it's a big deal for Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn's had a very quiet free agency period, as you would expect. But I think as what we know now, I don't disagree that the Suns are one of the winners yet. I think the JaVale McGee signing, and people are going to tell me I'm an idiot, but the JaVale McGee signing, when you look at the way he plays and what he does for teams, he brings you that veteran presence. Like, hey, I've been here. Look at my ring. Like,
it's not on the floor most nights that he contributes.
No, and when he's on the floor, he runs hard. He's a rim runner, and he's a shot blocker, and you really like that. But he just brings you that little something.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to again say, I think the LA Lakers, we sat on this show the other day and said the Lakers got to find shooting. My God, did they do that? I mean, they added a bunch of premier shooters, and they didn't really overpay anybody. I think there were some real wins around the league. Now, I also think Golden State's not done. I think the Jazz are not done.
I think a lot of teams aren't done yet. I think there's a long way to go here.
I think the Heat need one more piece. I just think there's a lot of teams that are still growing and contending. So,
all right. Yeah, all right. It's 52. We got 8 minutes here.
We should probably roll, right?
Yeah. What else we got in the comments? Anything good?
Not really. Jeremy Bolton says, I need a break from the NBA. Let's talk shitty Utes and BYU.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to give you our locks on. We're going to give you our locks on Friday for the Hall of Fame game.
Don't forget. And if you're new to this show this football season, we do locks every Friday, and we're terrible at picking games. I mean, no, don't play that music because bad things happen when I hear that music. It completely impairs my judgment. I'm not going to say we. I'm terrible at picking games. Please do not bet the house on me. In the NFL, fuck me. Like, last year was a terrible season. Like, just terrible.
Okay, that's all you're going to get of the NFL music so far.
You know.
But show up Friday, different story.
Yeah, then we got to give you a lock on the Hall of Fame game.
Woo!
Hey, how about this Carson Wentz situation?
Bro, dude.
Carson Wentz is out 5 to 12 weeks.
Again, what am I going to say? Paying a guy who's been hurt.
Mike Conley gets hurt too much.
Man, I didn't know Mike Conley was in the NFL,
bro. This continues a trend, and not specific to Mike Conley, but okay, it is, of teams that that overvalue players that are constantly hurt. And I look in the NFL, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz is a disaster right now for the Indianapolis Colts. This guy's out 5 to 12 weeks with foot surgery. I mean, good Lord.
You're done.
And you hear about all these other teams that went young at court. Justin Herbert, I'm telling you right now, and again, I will say it on August 3rd, it's 7:54 Mountain Time. Justin Herbert's going to win an MVP in the next 2 seasons. That guy looks freaking unbelievable.
Yep.
Justin Fields supposedly has been an absolute superclass of an individual and a performer on the field for the Bears.
Hopefully it comes through.
Now it's the Bears, so he'll have some tragic injury and never play well.
Yeah, well, they're going to play the Red Rocket first and lose the first 5 weeks.
Excuse me, it's not the Red Rocket, it's Fire Crotch.
My bad. Sorry.
Andy Dalton, the Fire Crotch Red Rocket, is probably going to start, but Justin Fields looks great. If you look around this league, the teams that commit to young quarterbacks and protect them, and when I say commit to them, that doesn't mean, oh, hey, we drafted you, here's a pile of money. It means, hey, by the way, here's an offensive line, here's some skill players. Now you go do your job.
Kyler Murray.
Anybody see Zach Wilson in Jets camp? By the way, that's something we were wrong on again. Like, I know we get everything wrong, James Knight. We told you that his deal was going to be fully guaranteed. And his deal was fully guaranteed. And then
The ink isn't dry yet.
Yeah, what did he do? He went into training camp and he immediately started throwing bombs. Like, just looks fantastic. Teams that commit to young quarterbacks and they build around them, those are the teams that win, Russell Wilson. Those are the teams that continue Tom Brady to develop their young quarterbacks and win regularly. I look at what teams like the Indianapolis Colts do. They are always getting their quarterbacks hurt.
By the way,
yes.
Small note. First, I believe 6 weeks or 5 weeks of this Colts schedule
Forget
are
it.
all teams that won 10 or more games last year.
It is, and people are making this argument, and it's tough to argue against this. The schedule that the Indianapolis Colts have to start the season is arguably the hardest first 5 games of a season ever.
You're so fucked.
In the NFL. I mean,
dude,
they're in trouble. He's going to miss probably the first 2 weeks of the season at a minimum.
I got to think it's more than that, though.
I think so. Dude. Like, when somebody gives you a prognosis, hey, when are you gonna deliver my car? Well, between 5 and 12 weeks.
You know it's going to be 14 weeks.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably out 2 months.
Yeah.
And if you do some math, August 3rd, September 3rd, October 3rd, he's not playing football till October. Like, they're in trouble in Indianapolis. And I'm amazed by it.
It's over.
I'm amazed. I don't understand these teams, and it's every flipping season.
Yeah.
Somebody just absolutely railroads their quarterback situation. The Packers, the Colts, the Dolphins. Oh, can Tua Tagovailoa really step up and have a big season? No.
Motherfucking,
he's a left-handed quarterback that's injury-prone.
Damn lefties.
And people are saying he's really arrogant.
Well.
Okay, well, good luck with that. I mean, young quarterbacks in this league, how long did it take Justin Herbert to show you he was a real deal? Like 15 seconds. I mean, Russell Wilson didn't even get to strap on his helmet. And everybody was like, when are we going to give him the MVP award?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, right out of the gate. Peyton Manning. You look at the best quarterbacks in this league, they were good the minute they put their first spike into the turf.
Johnny Manziel. Oh, wait. Sorry. My
Good
bad.
call.
My bad.
Well, Baker
Sorry.
Mayfield. Average quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Average quarterback, man.
Yeah. Okay. 3 minutes. Going to the doctor today.
Why bring this up now?
Because I think it's important. Going to the doctor today. I hate going to the doctor. I dread it.
Okay. So I'm getting my physical today, which means some dude's going to stick his thumb up my ass.
He's an assassin.
I'm 48 and I've never had my prostate checked. Now I have no family history, and we pound like porn stars and poop like giraffes in this house. I couldn't think of a large animal.
Fire and fury.
We poop like rhinoceroses in this house.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do I take the proctology finger in the prostate exam thing today?
I mean, I don't know, man. Yeah, probably. Dude.
I think that's HIPAA.
Yeah, dude, it is. It is, bro. Thank you, Dak. It is, man. Like, come on, dude.
That's HIPAA.
I don't know, bro. That's tough.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tough.
I'm a big fan of getting your physical every year. I think you should get your physical every year, and and we talked about the colonoscopy yesterday. If he tells me to get a colonoscopy, I'm probably getting that Roto-Rooter treatment. I'm probably doing it because I'm not going to mess with... You have to
check it before you wreck it.
I'm not going to mess with my colon. I love my colon. It puts out nukes every single morning for
nukes.
Me. Right? Like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying a good poop.
Are we clear on that?
I mean, taking the Browns to the Super Bowl, taking the kids to the pool, dropping a nuke is something, the pregame show is what we call it.
Yeah.
Hey, time to pregame.
Yep.
Hey, man, there's a PDH, there's nothing better.
Yes.
If you don't know what PDH is, educate yourself, son.
And he will every single time.
Because it's one of the greatest events of the day.
Yeah, just Urban Dictionary PDH.
And I don't want to do anything that ruins that. Now, drinking the solution before the colonoscopy is going to ruin that. Because you are going to turn into a farting sprinkler for a butthole. Like you are just
butthole.
That's what the colonoscopy procedure is like. Like it is not good. It is not good. Things will come out of your...
Because it just numbs the muscle, right?
No, what it does is they make you drink stuff that like strips your colon of anything that's fecal.
Yeah, so it pours everything out. Yeah,
Yes.
all of it comes out so they can do their examination.
Yeah, you turn on a faucet and a bunch of poop falls out.
Oh.
That's what happens.
Oh.
I've never had a colonoscopy. Don't want one. Probably going to have to get one.
Dude, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
I'd rather have a high colonic. Isn't that where they shoot water up your butt?
Yes.
It just is. It's one of these things where
water up your butt.
They do. They do. That's what a high colonic is.
Oh my God. Dude.
All I'm saying is that you just have to. As a man, there's certain things we got to protect. Our colon and our prostate are two of them. And I don't eat a lot of red meat generally. I usually will eat chicken or pork. And I'm telling you now, if you eat sausage and bacon on the regular, you're killing yourself. I don't, here's the problem. When you get a physical and they stick the needle in your arm and they're going to say, here's what the doctor's going to say. Well, man, everything looks great, but you're fucking fat and you should consider losing some weight, Jumbo. Look, boss, you need to lose some weight. That's what he's going to say. And it's the same thing. Hopefully, I should be so lucky because I'm not a heart guy. I don't have high cholesterol. I am fat and I need to lose weight. And I continue to lift weights occasionally because we never go on lunch anymore because, well, you're lazy. We never go on lunch anymore. It doesn't seem like, okay, so we missed one day. But I'm lifting a lot of weights. I'm benching 225. I'm deadlifting 200. We're doing a lot of good things. I almost died pushing a sled at Vaza Fitness the other day while the women put on a sex show.
Bro.
Dude, Vaza Fitness the other day. Let me finish this up before we get to don't stare at me while I wear nothing, girl, at the gym. The physical is not fun.
Yeah.
It's not. They're going to look at all your moles and make sure you don't have skin cancer. They're going to put their finger in your butt and you're going to, well, seriously. I don't generally eat a lot of food before noon. I'm not a morning eater, but I'm fasted right now. I'm not drinking energy drinks. I'm just drinking water, which means I'm going to have to piss a river in 5 minutes. But,
mid-morning pee guy.
It is what it is, right? So, yeah. And then there's Chick at the gym.
Yeah.
So Vaza Fitness on Sunday, the Sabbath, the day of the Lord.
Otherwise known as all the non-Mormons are at the gym.
us heathens, working out at Vaza, and it was just like a strip show in there. Like, and I don't understand this.
Right.
You come to the gym and you're wearing next to nothing, and then you catch a guy looking at you and you're like, don't you stare at me. And
What, you must?
And then there's like this chick and her mom in the squat rack, like wearing next to nothing.
The rack.
Then we're on like the stretching area at Vaza, and there's this girl who I don't know what kind of shorts she was wearing.
Just so you can go to Pound Town.
But she wasn't wearing shorts. Like, you remember, you know who I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And she's like doing, like, you know what you're doing. She's wearing next to nothing for shorts, and she's like fully bent over, and it's like, come on.
You know.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not, there's a time and a place to be like, hey, man, hell yeah. The gym is not that. I already am tired. I'm sweating profusely. Like I'm pushing this stupid sled on the turf.
Right.
And it's hard. And I'm like trying to get every grasp of breath I can so I don't pass out and die.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm trying to.
It's weird when people do it. Like it's weird. You know, the whole experience for women at the gym is very different than guys. Like I feel like for women, you've got a couple different types. Like you've got the silent assassin who's got the headphones and super serious, you know, squat rack chick. And then you've got the wear next to nothing chick who's just going to stretch and, you know.
And the girl with the booty and the tight pants who's going, ah! Ah! Like every time she lifts a weight, ah! Rack attack! This is a 2.5 pound dumbbell. Ah! Like, what are you doing? Why don't you just say, hey, boys, can you stare at me for a minute? Like, that's what she's doing. Like, ah! Shut up. Anyway.
Wow. Wow.
I'm not a big fan of the guy that, like, or in this case, the girl that just yells every time they lift weight.
Uh-huh.
I will.
They're exhaling.
I will occasionally let go of a while I'm taking a poop, but oh wait, we're off of that conversation. I'll occasionally like make noise when I lift weight.
Yeah,
but it's usually like the 8th, 9th, and 10th rep when you're like really working. Not like this chick is that girl who like literally is lifting 2 pounds, uses no form, is wearing next to nothing, and she's like like rep number 1. Like, what are you doing?
Getting attention.
Idiots. Brylark says, Vaza is a glorified pickup spot. The ladies only want a certain guy to look at them. If they get mad at you, it's because they aren't interested, not because they are truly offended.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I generally, I'm pretty good at looking at chicks on the sly. We don't usually get caught. But we've seen that happen. We've absolutely seen that happen.
Yeah. It absolutely happens all the time.
You know. Fat Jesus says it's not the poop that's the problem. For the second half of your prep day, you essentially urinate from your arse. Truth.
Physiologically, it's a non-starter.
Jeremy Bolton says, hey, boys, stare at me, but if you do, you're a pervert. Exactly right.
Yes,
exactly right.
Exactly.
I'm not here to be stared at. I'm here to physically build my body.
What the fuck does one thing have to do with the other?
Metaphorically speaking, I am not an object for your admiration.
I'll try to stay calm and not curse.
I'm a human being who happens to have a great rack, and look at my cleavage.
You are what you are.
That is what it is. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah.
By the way, what do you think of mask mandates? Because I'm pretty shocked. Lindsey Graham,
that douche.
The Republican senator, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Tested positive. He's got COVID. He's one of the guys that's vaccinated and got COVID. And all these governors in the South are like, hey, guys, I know that the election was stolen, but can you put on a mask?
The coronavirus.
Like, that's what's going on in this country right now. Donald Trump is the rightful president, but hey, man, can you put on a mask? It's amazing to me how many people have finally like come around to, hey, you know, maybe I should get vaccinated. You know, this Delta variant is killing people. And
So I said, yeah.
People that are dying are 99.2% unvaccinated.
Yeah, but Donnie said we don't have to get vaccinated.
Yeah, but Donnie,
that it's the Kung flu.
And we're going to keep stopping the steal, but I think I'm going to get vaccinated.
View this the same as the flu.
We're going to get vaccinated. because they're giving out vaccinations. What's the restaurant? The one where they serve the biscuits and gravy? Chuck Wagon? No, the
Chuckarama?
No, Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
They're giving out a free side of biscuits and gravy when you get vaccinated, and they'll inject it straight into your lungs. So I'm going to get vaccinated.
But not through the skin, right?
Yeah, well, no, that Donnie said to stick a light up my ass. It's
Everybody gets a test.
Yeah, it's amazing to me now that in the same week we had Republican governors begging people to wear masks, and Cole Beasley talking about how he's an anti-vaxxer, and if we test fewer people, there will be fewer test results. Okay, Cole, well, that's really well done by you. I appreciate that.
Idiot.
Do you, in any way, shape, or form, do you want mask mandates?
Yeah, I mean, I want them when they're necessary, and it feels like right now that they are necessary with the Delta variant. And I think that, do I like wearing a mask? No, hell no. I hate wearing a mask. It's not fun. It's a pretty big inconvenience if you ask me. It's just uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, it's what we have to do, and so that's what we'll do. So Ace, who's banned on YouTube. Oh, yeah. Okay. Banned on YouTube. Are we rocking vanish mode in the Instagram comments? Absolutely we are. Which I hate, by the way. Please don't. I hate that. What did he say? I lost his message now because vanish mode. It disappears. Nice job. He basically said, "I love your show. You guys are actually the realest." Well, thank you, Ace. Yeah. That's refreshing. And he said a bunch of other shit that I don't remember now because I'm old, which is why I'm getting a physical. He also, by the way, Ace has had a colonoscopy. Uh-huh. And he said it's not fun. He has a huge history of colon cancer in his family. So he's 46. He said he got his first colonoscopy when he was 25. Well, give the guy credit. I mean, if it's in his family. I mean, And he said that they've found polyps. I guess polyps grow in your colon. He said he's had several removed during colonoscopies. And he said, don't hesitate. He's like, it's a miserable experience, but it's well worth it. Yeah. So. Sorry, man. It is what it is. Brylark says, oh, boy, the COVID politic talk. Yes, this is what I'm here for. Where is Driftwood? Let's talk about freedoms. Come on. Marca. I miss Driftwood. I do. I am in favor of mask mandates on a certain level. This whole thing in Florida with Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida who wants to be president in 2024, saying that he has now banned schools from mandating masks for children and that their parents will decide. Why is wearing a mask such an infringement upon your rights? Yeah, and I think what's interesting is the schools are going against him, though. Yes, they are. They're saying you have to wear a mask. They are encouraging their students. They can't mandate it because now it's against the law. Yeah. They are encouraging their students to wear masks. Yeah. In fact, there was one superintendent yesterday in Miami-Dade County who was begging his students to wear a mask. Yeah. And it's a huge controversy in Florida. They are the leaders in people not being responsible. The Southeast is a joke right now. And I know we have a lot of Florida listeners on this show. Be careful, man. Please be careful. Seriously, please wear a mask. Please, one of the conversations I had on Twitter yesterday was about playing pickup basketball. No, I'm not right now playing pickup basketball. We got invited to a church ball game, by the way. We did? Yes. And I said, no, not going. Sorry, bud. When COVID's over and it's more in control, and I'll go. I'm not playing church ball right now. I'm not playing any basketball right now. I'm just not doing it. Yeah. I'm not. Rakesh Marapodny. Who the f*** is that guy? I can't see your comment. YouTube removed it. So I don't know what you said. So, yeah. Okay. Barry says sheep. Okay. I'm a sheep then. Cool. Sheeps, deers. It is what it is, man. Mices, mouses. Geese. Gooses. The point is, please wear a mask and please be responsible. Play the music, Jake. Okay. Show's over. By the way, no, I'm not going to do politics now. We're too late. Has there been any jazz talk yet? Guy, we're an hour and 30 minutes into the show. Where you been, bro? It's Geeson.
Brylark says. Okay.
Thank you, Brylark. Thank you.
Is that one of those unique Utah children's names? Hey, this is my daughter Breland and my son Geeson. We'll see you at Chuckarama. I'm a scout leader, and my son Geeson, who is an Eagle Scout. He's not a Goose Scout. He's Geeson, the Eagle Scout. Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.